You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 58. Ma Chao raises an army for revenge. Cao Cao not only shaves his beard, but sheds his cloak to escape capture. The speaker is Chen Kun, a minor official, who points out that Sun Quan and Xuanda are now as close as lips and teeth. What is needed is to drive a wedge between them. If Cao were to attack Hefei and Sun Quan, this would create a dilemma for Xuanda. He wants to go west for his own gain, says Chen Kun, but Sun Quan would expect him to drop everything and come to his rescue. But Xuanda won't. It's quite simple. Sun without Xuanda will fold quickly, and then we can take care of Xuanda after that. So Cao Cao sends an army of 300,000 south to the attack. When the news reaches Sun Quan, he, of course, asks Lu Su to speak to Xuanda, and to create a joint front. Lu Su writes to Xuanda proposing this, and Xuanda consults Kong Ming. Don't lose sleep over these northerners, says Kong Ming. I have a plan which means they'll never get as far as invading the south. After the messenger leaves, Xuanda asks what exactly this plan is that will protect Hefei from over 300,000 soldiers. Cao Cao's greatest fear is attack by the western tribal soldiers, Kong Ming replies. Now that he's killed Ma Teng, his son Ma Chao has taken control of the Xiliang tribal warriors. Write to him suggesting an alliance, because he'll be dying to revenge his father. If he attacks the north, then they can't attack us. The message is duly sent. When news reaches Ma Chao of the death of his father and brothers, he vows revenge, and at just that moment Xuanda's message reaches him. Without hesitating, Ma Chao responds, saying he will attack Cao Cao from the west, as the letter suggests, if Xuanda will attack from the south. After gathering support from others in the region, over 200,000 tribal warriors march towards the capital Chang'an. The governor Zhong Yao urgently sends news of this attack to Cao Cao. Then, taking his own troops, he advances to meet the enemy. The first engagement ends in defeat for the governor, who flees back into the safety of Chang'an, while Ma Chao and his men lay siege to the ancient capital. 10 days of siege go by without success for Ma Chao. It is then that Pang De, one of Ma Chao's commanders, suggests a ruse. Things will be pretty desperate inside the city now. Why don't we retreat so that the people can come out and refurbish their supplies? Many will come and go and, well, I have this idea. Ma Chao listens and agrees heartily with what he hears. So the besiegers lift the siege and melt away into the distant hills. As soon as Zhong Yao is certain they are far off, he opens the gates and, sure enough, people pour out, and pour back in again, plus some people who have never been in the city in the first place. This goes on for 5 days until the enemy forces are sighted moving back down to the attack, and the gates are hastily closed. Late that night, a fire breaks out by the west gate. Riding to investigate is the commander of that gate, Zhong Jin, the brother of the governor. Suddenly out of the darkness comes a shout as a man strides towards him. I'm Pang De, and so saying he cuts down Zhong Jin. Soon the gate is thrown open, and the Xiliang troops pour in. Governor Zhong Yao flees and takes up a defensive position at the Tong Pass, while word is sent as fast as possible to Cao Cao. The fall of Chang'an does exactly what Kong Ming planned, and the southern campaign is abandoned. Cao Cao, realizing the strategic importance of holding the pass, sends a crack force of 10,000 under the command of Cao Hong and Su Huang to help guard it. Ma Chao has brought his troops to below the pass and daily taunts the defenders to come out and fight. Cao Hong is desperate to do so, but Su Huang knows better than that and restrains him. But on the 9th day Cao Hong sees the troops below are resting, and with a force of 3,000 he descends upon them, catching them unawares and scattering them. When Su Huang finds out what has happened, he charges down after Cao Hong to restrain him, calling for him to return. But no sooner have they joined up than Ma Chao suddenly charges at them, with Pang De attacking from the other side. Half of Cao Hong's men go down under the assault, and Cao Hong himself has to flee for his life, hotly pursued by Pang De. As a result, Ma Chao seizes control of the pass. You can imagine Cao Cao's fury when the defeated commanders Cao Hong and Su Huang arrive to tell of the disaster. He is all for executing Cao Hong, but is eventually dissuaded. Cao Cao now sets off for the pass and establishes his camp below, ready for battle. The very next day the armies clash, and the Xiliang troops break the northern army almost immediately, with Ma Chao and Pang De charging into the melee, determined to capture Cao Cao. In terror Cao Cao turns and flees, but he hears behind him someone cry, "Cao is the one in the red robe," and on hearing this he rips it off and casts it aside. Then he hears a cry, "Cao is the one with the long beard." As he rides, he hacks at his beard with his dagger. Then he hears another cry, "Chao's the one with the ragged short beard," and this time he veils his face with his battle flag, but to no avail. Ma Chao is catching up with him. A dramatic thrust with his spear nearly stabs Cao Cao, but the spear strikes a tree, and, while Ma Chao struggles to pull the spear clear, Cao Cao is able to escape. By the time Ma Chao catches up with Cao Cao he is being defended by none other than Cao Hong, who holds Ma Chao at bay until more men arrive to protect Cao Cao and Ma Chao retreats. It does not pass Cao Cao's notice that, if he had executed Cao Hong, he himself would have died, and he rewards him handsomely. From now on Cao Cao holds back from any attack. News comes that Ma Chao has received 20,000 Chong tribesmen to reinforce his army, and Cao Cao, to the astonishment of his commander, smiles. 3 days later comes news of more reinforcements for Ma Chao, and again Cao Cao smiles. Shortly after this, Su Huang and Cao Cao agree on the following strategy. Because Ma Chao has all his troops stationed at the pass, the west bank of the river Wei is undefended. They decide to send a task force to seize the bank so they can cut off any retreat by Ma Chao's men, and then they will attack the enemy from the north of the river Wei. It doesn't take long before Ma Chao realizes what is happening and moves to the attack to thwart Cao Cao as he maneuvers his men into place. The confrontation takes place just after dawn on the bank of the Yellow River, when Ma Chao attacks as Chao's men are trying to embark for the other bank. Chaos ensues, though throughout it Cao Cao sits blankly and calmly as if not noticing anything is wrong. Then from behind him comes another attack, led by Ma Chao himself. When Ma Chao is less than 100 yards from Cao Cao, Su Chu realizes the seriousness of the situation. "We are surrounded, my lord," he says. "Let's get to the boat." "So what?" replies Cao Cao. So Su Chu simply lifts Cao Cao up and, carrying him on his shoulder, runs for the nearest boat. He pushes the boat off, but others who are trying to flee and are struggling in the river try to grab hold and climb aboard. Su Chu slashes at them, cutting their hands off to stop them overturning the frail little boat. But danger is still all around. From the bank Ma Chao directs archers to fire on the boat, and Su Chu has to protect Cao Cao by holding his saddle as a shield. The archers pick off the rowers one by one until Su Chu is the only one left. He has to steer the boat, push with his oar and protect Cao Cao, who is cowering in the bottom of the boat. All seems to be up for Su Chu and Cao Cao, but a local official, Ding Fei, spots what is happening and orders the grazing cattle to be driven down onto the floodplains. This diverts the attention of the tribal warriors, who rush off after them to seize them as bounty. This enables Su Chu and Cao Cao to be swept on down the river out of harm's way. Recovering from his failure of nerve, Cao Cao now takes stock and orders his troops to prepare defenses on this northern shore, including digging pits and covering them with branches so that any cavalry charge can be brought crashing down. Now they are ready to carry out their plan to attack Ma Chao from the north. In return, Ma Chao realizes that he should try and attack first, and he orders Pang De and Han Sui to advance with 50,000 men. The trick of covering the pits works well. Pang De's cavalry charge crashes down into the pits, and few escape. But Pang De by a mighty effort is able to ride back out. Dragging Han Sui also to safety, he flees, pursued by Cao Cao's men. But then Ma Chao rides to the rescue, and in the nick of time saves his army from defeat. Consulting with his generals, Ma Chao agrees that they should attack again that very night before the enemy can really dig in. Back at Cao Cao's camp, He tells his men to expect exactly such an attack and to lay an ambush. It is not Ma Chao who comes at dead of night, but Qing Yi with just 30 men. As they ride into the camp, it appears to be deserted. Thinking that this is a major attack, Cao Cao's men spring the ambush, but find they have trapped only 30 men. Qing Yi is slain, but then, as if from nowhere, Ma Chao and the mass of his men charge in and launch a terrifying assault. Who is going to win? Let's find out.